Welcome to the Rotary Club of Edina as we continue our Rotary journey. I am Joe Hayes, your 2022-23 president. I would especially like to welcome our guests and visiting Rotarians, senior active members, and welcome you and hopefully you enjoy the meeting. Gordy's in the house. Yes, he is. Whoa. We have a great meeting today with the recent past president, Sam Thompson, presenting the art of selling and buying a business. Very exciting. Meeting our team, front desk, Skip Thomas. Tell me if this is a truth or a lie. Between his brothers, their names are Hop, Skip, and Jump. Who believes that? Hands up. Skip, is it true? Skip? It is. Hop, skip, and jump. You take that up with him and his parents. We have Skip Thomas. John Barnett as greeter and invocation. The great Susan Stiles is a greeter and thank you to the speaker. Speaker introduction, Counselor Mike Callis. Barker writer Ken Larson. Photographer Jen Hendrickson. Is Jen here? Okay. Videographer Chris and Ryan and Scott on the Zoom. Our spotlight today is you. Recently, Becky just sent out the duty list for everybody. You are all adults. We have got great responsibilities in this club, and these are really kind of fun things to do, whether it be part of the team, which are kind of fun to get to know your other fellow Rotarians. I was going to go into more, but I recently just got a note from last week. I announced to everybody that former past president Bruce Templeton, we made him an honorary member. Just received this beautiful note from Bruce. Dear Rotary friends, Rotary functions to improve the lives of the people throughout the world. Rotary has certainly improved the life of Bruce Templeton. Rotary has added friendship, guidance, and purpose to my life. The four-way test, in addition to my faith, were used as a continuous model to how I approach decisions in my life and my career. Rotary friends have always walked beside me in my various health issues. Cherished memories is what you have made my life. Being able to attend meetings in the future would be such a blessing to me. Thank you for the privilege of being an honorary member of the Rotary Club of Edina. With much thanks, Dr. Bruce Templeton. Couldn't have said it any better. We have invocation, John Barnett.
Should we have the stand? Please rise. Then we'll remain standing for the pledge and the four-way test. Heavenly Father, we ask that you guide and direct our club, its leaders, and our actions. Grant that each of us may feel our responsibility to Rotary, to our community, to our country, and indeed to all countries and peoples. Bless our fellowship today. Bless this food to our nourishment of our bodies in your name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The four-way test. First, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? You may be seated.
We have one quick announcement before we have guests. Gala News Network.
Welcome back to GNN. I'm Julie Westbrock, and I'm here with co-host and co-chair Kayla Bierler. And we're here to provide you with everything you need to know about this year's event, Champagne on Ice.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Julie. So for those of you who don't know, it is Saturday, October 1st at 6 p.m. at the Marriott Southwest, the same place it was last year. We're going to have lots of fun things. Our Factor is going to be the band this year. We have an illustration artist who will be there, Claire Ward, and lots of fun things for you to do. So definitely join us October 1st. Don't forget that we're still looking for sponsors. If you are interested in sponsoring the event, please don't hesitate to reach out to one of us or Jennifer Hendrickson. And we're also looking for donations for the live auction that night. So the more the merrier. We would love to have any items that you can think of that would be appealing, such as golf trips, vacations, dinners out, boat rides, anything fun like that that you think you and your family would enjoy. Think about donating to us. Back to you, Julie.
Thanks, Kayla. Well, we're very excited about today's episode because we've got a very special guest, the 22-23 president, Joe Hayes.
Hey, thank you for having me here.
We're glad to have you and excited to have you be part of this year's Rotary event. So, Joe, we have a couple of questions for you. Besides celebrating all the good work that we do, besides having a great time, and besides getting to see Michael Stanczak show off his jazzercise skills, what is the overarching purpose of the gala?
Well, the purpose is to raise money for the foundation, which in turn splits between the international and domestic. And we give funds for programs all across the world through our international committee, and also local grants, which we gave away. We had 26 grant recipients last year, all regionally within mostly places that touch Edina or our first ring of Edina.
As a part of the local grants committee this past year, I will say it was a really very special opportunity to hear about the different organizations that we gave money to throughout the year.
The local grants really kind of touched our family. A few years ago, the club ended up donating to Gilda's Club. I thought it looked like a great organization, and I thought my wife Chris would really like to participate with them. And since that time, it's been 3 years, and she's been a volunteer there, along with being a volunteer at Veep. So it's just some great way to get your family involved also in the local grants.
So Joe, thank you so much for joining us today. We're super excited that you've been so heavily involved. What are you most looking forward to for this year's event?
Well, first off, I just love getting together with all the Rotarians outside of Rotary, where we get to actually talk at greater length, get to know each other a little bit better, and understand what different projects are going out there in the world. Excited to see Claire Ward and her artistry and see the prints. That's going to be very cool. Our Factor, I love a good horn band. It's going to be a lot of fun. Can't wait to go through their list and make my requests, because classic 70s. But also just having a really nice social time, and we always like to dance, so it'll be great.
Quick question, just the last question and a fun question. If you had to choose someone to do a dance off with, who would it be?
You mean my dancing against someone else's, or a face off?
Or a face off.
I would go Josh Sprague, Michael Stanczak. I think Kayla and Shelley Loberg would be a great one.
I like that one. I think that one should happen.
There you go. Challenge accepted.
Thanks for joining us today. Happy to have you on. Cheers.
Hey, cheers, everyone. Look forward to seeing you.
Cheers. See you on October 1st.
And the great Skip Thomas.
We have a lot of guests today, so we'll start off with Tim Murphy with his guest, Liz. You want to stand up and introduce her, Tim?
Edina Rotary is very honored to have the wife of Jim Krasowski, who was a member, a very active member for many, many years, and we lost him last year. But she wanted to come to Rotary and asked me if I would sponsor her, and I'm honored to have her.
Welcome. John Mazzara, your guest.
Hello, my guest is my son, Michael Mazzaro, and he's a college student over at St. Thomas.
Lisa Walker, would you introduce your guest, please?
This is my good friend and colleague, Julianne Cord. She's in the baking industry, and I'll let her introduce herself, and she wants to join our club. Hi, I'm Julianne Cord, and I'm a private banker with Minnesota Bank and Trust over on Centennial Lakes, and I look forward to meeting each and every one of you.
Welcome.
Gay Clapp, would you introduce your special guest?
I will. This is my husband, Bill. He's been here before, Dr. William Clapp. Bill's a retired psychiatrist, formerly the director of residency training in psychiatry at the U, but then he went into private practice and practiced here in Edina for a while. But we are here today, or Bill wants to hear Mr. Sam speak, because Sam is our friend and lives in our building downtown. So, thank you.
Thank you. Susan Stiles.
This is Jeff Robbins. He's also my husband. and he's an attorney with a firm called Avison Legal. They're a business-concentrated law firm. Jeff works with a lot of startup companies, and he helps them raise money and does all that transactional fun stuff, which sometimes he works till 2 in the morning, and he wanted to listen to Sam speak as well.
Welcome. Erica Allenberg, your guest, please.
I'd like to introduce Natalie Roberts, who actually is not sitting next to me, but she is an attorney with Flagship Law, and they have offices here and also in Tampa Bay, correct? So she would be great to get to know for a trip to Florida, and she's also interested in potentially joining the club as well.
Wow.
Awesome.
David Klein, would you introduce your special guest?
Good, that's a way to do it.
Wade, can you hear me over there? I can. Okay, I'm very honored today to introduce to you my friend Tad Jude. This Tuesday, August 9th, is going to be the primary. Tad Jude is running for Hennepin County Attorney. He's a super guy, very solid, lots of legislative experience, and served as a district judge in the 10th district for 11 years. I highly recommend that you please check out Tad Jude for Hennepin County and consider voting for him this Tuesday. He's a great guy.
Kelly Burnett.
It is my pleasure to introduce Katie Taylor with Abby's Hope, one of the organizations that our local grants committee made a contribution towards. So you'll hear more from Katie in a few minutes.
Thank you. The famous Dr. Dash has a few guests.
Great privilege for me to introduce from Minnesota Historical Society, Jennifer. Please stand up.
Welcome.
Dr. Dash would like for me to share with you that I'm from the Minnesota Historical Society. I'm their Chief Development Officer, and we'll have some special announcements coming this fall. Stay tuned.
Namaste. Thank you very much. I have been to your club with Dr. Das several times. Thank you very much to come back.
Thank you. Welcome. Don Hutchinson, you have a couple guests.
First of all, to my right here is Logan Hershey. Logan Hershey is with RBC Wealth Management. This is his first visit, so be nice to him. On the other hand, I've got Tim Peterson. It's his second visit. You can treat him as you wish. Tim is a longtime friend of mine, and he is a video evangelist. And I'm going to see if I get this right. YouTube videos that sell on the first page of Google and YouTube search. Tim Peterson. And he's interested in membership.
Welcome. Is Josh here? Okay, Josh has a guest, Gregory Rich. Would you stand up and introduce yourself?
What, did Josh blow it off? My name's Gregory Rich. This is my second meeting with you guys. I was so impressed with last week's. I really, really was. I own the District Edina, which is a redeveloped building on 494 and 169, which is a collection of showrooms in building and remodeling. And I'm really looking forward to being a part of the group. So I did just turn in my application, and hopefully...
Hey. And our wonderful past president, Sam Thompson's got a couple gifts.
I'd like to introduce one of my co-workers, Karen Dick, over on the side there, and Karen has somebody with her.
Hi, everybody. Good to see everyone. And I just have to say, this is a great chapter. There's 3 people in this room. They probably don't recognize me, but there's people that I know from other places. There's a guy over here that sold me a house. John, it's been a while. Somebody from my high school, Karen Strom. I graduated with your brother, Mike Robbins.
Mike Robbins. Oh.
And then I've got Scott here, so I should be a member of this chapter. Anyway, I love working for Sam. He's a great person to work for. And we have a guest today, and I'll let him introduce himself.
I'm Tim Breyer, and I work for a CE Goville company, and glad to be a part of your luncheon today.
Thank you.
Welcome. Announcements. Gay Clap. You have an announcement.
Thank you. You may remember a few weeks ago, Dr. Anna Prisakari, got it, was talking about the kids from Ukraine. And at that time, they weren't sure if the guardianship was going to go through in time. It did. They're coming. She's going the 9th. Some of you, I think, do know that. She's going over to Poland. They've made their way from Ukraine to Poland to pick them up and bring them back on the 15th of August. 3 young people. One's going to Minnetonka Middle and one's going to the international, 2 are going to the international school. Anna has a wish list. I think it's really getting filled up, but things for the trip and things for coming back, and I think maybe some signs and stuff of welcoming. And then maybe if anyone has twins tickets on, let's see, what is that date? 8/19. Maybe soccer tickets. Are those just done? Yay, we're done. Thank you. This is an evolving situation, so we always find facts out as we go. And so there will be, I think in mid-September, possibly a party. And so we'll be, stay tuned. If anyone wants further information, just email me. And the easiest place is just gayclap or clapgay at gmail.com. So thank you so much. She's very happy for our support.
Good afternoon. I have a quick membership update. If anyone wants to take their phone out, it's rare to take your phone out at a meeting, but if anyone wants to take their phone out really fast or has it handy, there's going to be 2 membership updates coming up to make our lives easier, hopefully. One is we're going to move to electronic guest cards. We're going to test it out at the next couple of meetings, see how everyone likes it. So if you want to try it out, there's a QR code. You can scan it. And then what's going to come up is an electronic guest card. And how this is going to work and how it's going to make all of our lives better is that, well, first of all, there'll be QR codes at every table, so you can just sit down and introduce and do it at your table or when you come in. And what's going to end up happening is it's going to, that's my husband and me are the only I was testing, but it's going to automatically populate a database for us to log in every guest. For communication purposes and for accounting purposes. And so if you guys want to test it and fill it out, immediately it auto-populates a database for us. And then what's going to happen is it's also going to automatically send out an email to everybody. So
Erica, is that just for when you have a guest or even when you show up without a guest?
This is just for guests. So this is just for guests only. So next week, we're going to be testing out this new process to see how that goes. If you're adamant about not wanting to do this, we will still have the paper forms, but this will make our lives easier for that. Secondly, we have a second new process, and we've created a QR code for all of our events. So if you ever see a newspaper ad or like in the 4th of July parade, we're going to add this QR code so people can zap it to get more information about us. And we have a second different form that will come up, and it just says, are you interested in learning more about us? And a similar thing will happen. It's going to auto-populate a different database, and a different email will automatically go out that says information about what we do, if you'd like to come visit us at a meeting. So if anyone wants access to this QR code for any marketing materials, I can send it to anybody. But it's a good way to get out more information about us, to send for anything that we do. So, and last but not least, what is the significance of the number 150? I'm sort of a nerd at heart. I did some analytics and looked at our yield for the number of guests that we have and how many new members it equals. We as a club need to have 150 guests in order to reach our membership goal. And so it's incumbent upon all of us to invite people. We have a number of wonderful guests today just to make sure that we are able to meet our membership goal. And so let's just keep up the good work in inviting new people to all of our different lunch meetings so we can meet our goal of 168 members this year. So that's all. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Kelly Burnett and I am a member of the local grants committee, and I am excited to introduce you all to one of the organizations that we supported this year. Here with us today we have Katie Taylor, who's the co-founder and president of Abby's Hope, and she's going to share a little bit with you about how our grant supported their organization.
I'll move that up for you. Are you going to click?
Nope, you are.
Okay. Hi, thank you again for having me today. Here, I'm a little bit taller than Kelly. And thank you for considering us for your grant, and also for obviously giving us the grant. It was very well used. Hang on one second. Oops, wrong way. Okay, so we received $2,500 from you guys as part of your 2021 grant program. And this is just a little, so we are Abby's Hope. If you are familiar with our story, I'm gonna give you just a 2-minute background. I am the lucky mother of Abby Taylor. I have 4 daughters. She was number 2. Abby was injured in 2007 in a poorly maintained pool drain at Minneapolis Golf Club. She survived for about 9 months. It was a hard 9 months. She received a 3-organ transplant and succumbed to her injuries, and we lost her in March of 2008. Before she passed away, we had started Abby's Hope, because as soon as she was injured, she asked within a week at that hospital, within days, how do we make sure what happened to me does not happen to someone else? And the only way we knew to do that was to kind of pull up your bootstraps and try to figure out how to solve a problem. My father always laughed because my degree is in public health and education, and he's like, what are you gonna do with that? Well, it worked out okay. So trying to work on the prevention side of anything is really, it's not sexy, because you can never know how many people you've affected. But our foundation has been around for over 15 years, and we know that we are making a change. Our purpose, good, I'm not even using my notes, look at that. Our purpose is threefold. We work with advocacy, legislation, and awareness and education. So we work in public schools. Prior to COVID, we were doing water safety education in classrooms and safety camps, and that is just coming back this year. On the legislation side, currently we are revitalizing the national legislation, which is the Virginia Graham-Baker Act, which we were a part of passing that law in 2008. And it's just time for a revitalization, so we're working on adding that and making it a stronger national law. In 2008, we also passed the Abigail Taylor Pool and Safety Act in the state of Minnesota. What that means is if you have a public facility, you have to have a certain kind of pool drain. Prior to that, they had the drain on the right side is an unsafe drain. Well, your left side, my apologies. So we describe it in kids' classrooms as if it looks like Captain America's shield or a spaceship or something that is dome-shaped, a turtle with holes in it, then it is a safe drain. If it is flat, it is not a safe drain. The kids get it. We talk about suction and what suction does, and we use the example of vacuuming. If you vacuum at home, and most kids will say, oh yeah, I vacuum, which we're not sure if they do. But if you look at the end of a vacuum, the pressure that it applies, that same vacuum is what an unsafe drain does not protect you from. And so the unsafe drains are illegal, and you cannot have them in the United States. But if you travel abroad, you need to pay attention to the drains, because this is not national, or this is not worldwide, international, thank you. So we've worked on legislation. But the biggest thing that we've done, or not biggest, but what we've been focused on since the world opened back up after 2020, 2021, we tried to decide how can we help, because one of the many fallouts from having a pandemic is we had a national lifeguard shortage prior to 2020, and now we have a real problem. There are, all the people that were lifeguards had to get other jobs. And so you lost that part of the workforce, and then you didn't do lifeguard training for a year and a half, 2 years. I actually got recertified so that I could help educate, and I had my kid, our whole family is lifeguards. It's a lot harder to do when you're 50, FYI. It's a lot harder to get that brick off the bottom of the pool. But I wanted to know that I could go into the Hmong Charter School and I could offer lifeguard training in a different population free of cost. So if that's something I can do it. But it's our way of trying to solve the problem and trying to look at how water safety was pushed aside during a global pandemic, even though there's still pools, there's still open bodies of water. So trying to how we can make change. So that change was our project for 2022, is how, let's give away 2022 life jackets. Seemed like a really big goal. Well, let me tell you, as of today, and this is what Rotary helped us pay for, we've given away 1,947 life jackets just since May. And we've done it all over the Twin Cities. This is a picture, and it was a cold day for giving out life jackets. And this is in St. Paul at Hidden Falls. We did it in partnership with the Hennepin County Sheriff's Department. One of our fantastic partners. I was in a snow hat, and people were there an hour before we opened to get life jackets for their families that had never been able to be on water before. It was fantastic. Here's some other pictures. There's me in my Edina Country Club hat, freezing. But it was so wonderful. Then the picture on the right is that's at Theater Worth Park. Just going to local beaches and finding kids and giving away life jackets. The group that you have, that is a part of the ROTC program, which I had understood it like thinking ROTC. Well, these are kids in St. Paul that get to go to a camp every Tuesday for all different things, and they are living in the hardest places. They have nothing. And we are doing water safety with them. We took them out on the lake, we took them on the boat, we got them 3 weeks of swimming lessons in St. Paul, and they were shocked. They couldn't believe none of them had swam before, none of them had ever even put on a life jacket before, and they couldn't believe that we were gonna send them home with a life jacket. So thank you. And then that other picture is at V3, which is a new pool that's going up in North Minneapolis, or a new program in North Minneapolis. Again, it's really about giving diversity in aquatics and giving access to swimming to all. So thank you.
Rob Redding. Abby's Hope Charitable Golf. If you can sign up for that, it's a great tournament. I played in it a few years ago. Camp Enterprise, Rob Redding. And we've got a great, just go straight to the video. Save the date, November 3rd for Camp Enterprise.
Camp Enterprise is a signature project of the Rotary Clubs of Edina and Edina Morningside, made possible through the support of Rotary Clubs throughout Minnesota and western Wisconsin. Each year, we welcome 120 high school juniors and seniors to camp, where they are introduced to the free enterprise system through a series of keynote speakers and an in-depth, team-based case study. At Camp Enterprise, we focus on developing students' skills in entrepreneurship, leadership, and business ethics, while working to mentor tomorrow's business and community leaders. But you don't have to take our word for it. Let's ask some of the students of Camp Enterprise what they think.
Camp Enterprise is a 3-day little retreat. Here we come to the woods, and we're kind of secluded and just immersed in the business process. We get a case study, and as a group we have to figure out the different aspects of how to present it to the venture capitalists.
You listen to speakers, you learn about business, and you learn about the world and how it works.
You get to work with new people and work on different things that you wouldn't normally work on. It's teamwork, it's leadership, it's your speaking skills, it's being able to focus and work on projects.
You don't have to know anything ahead of time. They teach you everything here. It's a great opportunity to just jump in, get your feet wet.
The CFO in our group knew nothing about finance and now sounds like a complete genius in front of all of us when she's talking about all the numbers.
There's been a lot of really great speakers. Seeing other people actually take their passions and goals and turn it into something, and knowing that it is possible is just really encouraging.
Knowing that they're just like us and we have the opportunity to be like them. I would say someone should come to Camp Enterprise because it's an amazing experience no matter what career you're going into, even if it's not specifically business. Personally, I've gotten a lot of advice and also different perspectives on different challenges that people have had. After coming here, I feel like I could be able to understand a lot more than before I came.
Camp Enterprise is the best place I've ever been to. I've been to camps, I've done everything. But this place, it feels special to me somehow. And I think it's really important that you take the time to consider it.
All right, everybody gets Camp E. So Mike Callis, please sign up to help out with Camp E.
Hi, I'm Mike Callis. Do a quick introduction of our speaker. I really don't think I need to introduce our speaker to any of you. Sam Thompson has served as our president in 2020, 2021. He stood in front of us every week for a year. As a result, we know him to be smart, hardworking, organized, and all-around good guy. I think everyone would heartily agree with that. When Sam isn't involved in doing his Rotary things, which, as you know, as president and past president and president-elect, it consumes your life. But other than that, he's involved with guiding business owners through the sale of their businesses. Sam had been involved in owning his own business 10 years prior to that. He's been doing the selling businesses for 10 years. And prior to that, he was the CEO of a company called Metro Connections, which is a $16 million conference and event management company with 180 employees. And Sam went through the process of selling that business, and as a part of that process, learned what it is to sell a business and what the pitfalls of that process might be. And from that experience, he's able to provide valuable insight to business owners that are looking to sell their own business. Sam's a certified business intermediary and a mergers and acquisition master intermediary. Sam is married to Kim, and they have 3 adult daughters. Sam and Kim live in downtown Minneapolis with Gay in terms of the same building. I mean, not with Gay, but in the same building. Let me present Sam.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Yeah, we have a nice cozy condo together. Yeah, right. Well, great. I'm so used to being at this podium in a Rotary role. This is kind of fun to actually be your speaker. And I'm looking forward to it. So I'm very honored to be talking to you today. And we'll just jump right into it. And we're going to talk about the art of selling and buying a business. And what I first want to do is make sure you understand the size of the small business universe. And that is, there are 32.5 million small businesses in the United States. And what is a small business? Well, they're no more than 1,500 employees and no more than $40 million in revenue. And if you take all of the businesses in the United States, if you take the small businesses and you take the larger corporations, small business is 99.7%. So you can see small business is a big part of our economic engine. And if you take all of the small businesses, 97% have less than 10 million in revenue and less than $1 million in profits. So if you have a business out there and you're doing more than 10 million in revenue and $1 million in profits, congratulations, because you're in a very unique group. So I want to talk about just how difficult it is to sell a business. Even though the M&A industry is doing very well, it's difficult to sell a business. And so why is that? Well, confidentiality. When you go to sell your business, you don't want your customers to know, you don't want your vendors to know, and you especially don't want your employees to know. And it's not like selling a house where you can parade the buyers through with a sign out in front of your business, hoping that you get good offers. And it's an emotional transaction. Some days things are going so well and sales are coming in, and you're thinking, why am I selling my business? And other days you're having employee problems and supply chain issues, and you're thinking, thank goodness I'm getting out of this thing. And the business selling process is slow. It normally takes 6 to 12 months to sell a business, and I can tell you that's pretty accurate. The quickest I've ever sold a business has been 3 months, and the longest was 2 years, and that was before COVID. After COVID, it's actually been longer than that. And it's a roller coaster of surprises. There's all kinds of ups and downs. We say in the industry, a deal dies 3 times before it closes. So I just want to give you some COVID challenges. I want to touch on this. We've seen a lot of it in the news. Key thing is labor. It used to be the buyers would ask, why are you selling, as their number one question. Now they want to know, how many key employees do you have? That's a big thing. And I want to tell you, if you're selling, make sure you're taking care of your key employees. Put them on a stay bonus so that they stay on with the buyer through the transition. That's very important. Inventory investment, the supply chain mess. If you've got a lot of inventory, you're probably, instead of buying for 3 months worth, you're now probably buying for 6 months worth. So the key is that the buyers really watch that, and that's all part of working capital. And you may have to be spending more on working capital, which the buyers like to negotiate. So bottom line is, through all this mess, it may cost you more when you're selling your business with working capital and the inventory. And inflation, and buyers are pricing you on how well you've done with your numbers in the past. So as your costs are going up and as you're selling your business, you really need to be watching your pricing and make sure you're adjusting, because the buyers are buying that profit margin that you're used to having as historical numbers. So let me tell you a little bit about buyers. We have what we call our 90% rule. 90% of the buyers are first-time buyers. 90% that begin the search don't complete the transaction. And I can tell you an example of one situation I see. A buyer that's maybe worked at a big corporation like 3M, And their neighbor owns a business, and they've always wanted to be a business owner. So they go out and they start the search, and they talk to somebody like myself, and I introduce them to business owners. And they realize how risky it is to own a business. And then their spouse is saying, what the heck are you doing? You've got a good job, you got good benefits, we can go on vacation anytime we want, you don't have to work weekends, you don't have to work at night. And that kind of buyer just realizes, maybe I don't want to be a business owner. And 90% will finance the purchase. And even with good strategic buyers, where one company buys another company and they've got a lot of cash on their balance sheet, they're still financing the deal. Everybody wants to leverage the deal. And 90% don't know what kind of business they want. And with the Great Resignation, I'm getting a lot more buyers calling in, and I'll say, great, what kind of business do you want to buy? What kind of industry are you looking at? And a common response is, oh, I'm flexible, I'm open, anything that's cash flowing pretty well. I hear that all the time. Well, the truth is there are many good buyers out there that are talented, that have a good business background, or have a good sales and marketing background. So they probably could buy and run many types of businesses. And 90% are uneducated in the business buying process, and that fits in with the first piece of this slide. That if they're first-time buyers, they're probably uneducated. I represent the sellers, and if I'm sensing the buyer doesn't understand the process, I, of course, will help them through it. 50% of the agreed to don't close. And when I say agreed to, I'm saying a non-binding letter of intent. And one situation that I had a few years back, we were ready to close in about a week. I had the buyer and the seller and their attorneys on a conference call. It was on a Friday. Now I need to tell you, my seller, their number one client was General Mills, and it was 90% of their business. So extremely high customer concentration. Well, anyway, over the weekend, a nasty article came out on Advertising Age about General Mills. And it was saying that their numbers were dropping and they're laying people off. Well, on that Monday, the buyer called and said, my board saw that article, deal's off. And I never did sell that business. I'm going to move this a second. Okay, and 25% of the businesses in the US that go to market actually sell. So that's a really low percentage. That means 75% aren't selling. So what I hope to do in the next few slides is share with you what you can do if you have a business, things you can be doing to make sure you're a sellable company. And if you're a buyer, what you want to look for in a business. So let me tell you some seller characteristics, some things that I see often. Most are open to staying on for a period of time. This is their baby. This is their legacy. They want to see the buyer do well. And maybe there's some holdback money in the transaction. So of course they want to see that the deal's going to go over well. And they want all cash at closing. All my sellers want all cash at closing. And I can tell you that's difficult to do. And when we do surveys with brokers around the country, usually it's about 80% cash at closing, and that could be from a loan. The buyer may have gotten a loan, but the seller's getting 80%, and the rest would be where the seller does a note, a seller carry, they're the bank, or it could be an earnout. And my sellers hate earnouts, and this is where they're paid on future performance. And my sellers say, why would I agree to that when I am relying on the buyer to make my numbers? And I tell them, you're right, why would you? So I'm going to tell you, when I give this seminar, when I give a talk, and it's about an hour, we have a lot of time to talk about how you value a business. I want to give you a real high-level overview of what buyers are looking for and how we do evaluation on a business. And it's a pretty basic formula. We take your profitability or earnings, and some of you in the room might know EBITDA or SDE, and I'm not going to get into that. But the bottom line is, how much money are you making? That's what the buyers want. They want to know that you're making money. Times an industry multiple. So that can really vary. It's based on risk of the business. It's based on comps. How much within each industry the comps. And I can tell you with smaller businesses, and when I say smaller businesses, Main Street would be where they sell for $2 million or less. Those multiples right now are between 2 and 3, just to give you a general idea. And lower middle market, $2 million or more, that's somewhere between 4 and 6. So yeah, if you have a business that's doing $500,000 and the multiple's 4, it should be a $2 million business. And then you take any certain assets. That could be maybe inventory is not priced into the price. Maybe it's real estate, and that gives you your value. So let me tell you about the Boomer Tsunami. And when I got into the industry about 10 years ago, everybody was talking about the Boomer Tsunami. They're saying all these boomers are going to hit the market that own businesses, and look out, it's going to be crazy. The tsunami has never happened. And the reason is baby boomers like to work. But I do think that it might be starting up. Just because of what's happened with COVID and with the economy and with labor, and I'm sensing that a lot of baby boomers that own businesses are really getting burnt out. So let me tell you just a little bit about baby boomers. The 2020 US Census said there's 73 million baby boomers. By 2030, all boomers will be at least 65 years old. And right now there are 12 million boomers that own businesses. And the pace of the boomer retirements has accelerated in the past year, quoted by Richard Fry with the Pew Research Center. Now, if you're in the room and you're thinking, I want to own a business, not so sure I want to buy a business, maybe that's going to cost me too much. How about if I just start up? That would be good and cheap, right? Well, let me give you a couple things to think about if you're thinking that. Number one out of 10 startups actually make it. So it's pretty risky. If you go to buy a business, you may be more successful because you're buying something with established employees, established customers, you have your branding, geographic region, all those good things. And the average startup in the US kicks off with $65,000, and that's just kicking off. When I've started up businesses, I've usually found that it takes about 5 years to turn the corner. So you're funneling money in there for the next 4 years, say. You're always putting more money into it. You could be taking that money and putting it in as a down payment with a business. So let me tell you the types of buyers out there. You have financial buyers. An example would be a private equity group. They have a fund. They go out and they get investors to invest in their fund. They use the fund to go out and buy small businesses. They hold on to them for 5 to 7 years. And then they sell the businesses to make a profit for their investors. You have strategic buyers, and these are great buyers. These are companies buying other companies. Could be a competitor, could be a vendor. Oftentimes, you're going to get the top dollar when you're selling to a strategic buyer. Owner-operator, we're seeing more of those. These are individuals that if they're buying your business, they like what you do, they want to take your place. They want to make the money you're making. They want to work with the businesses that you're working with. Management or partner buyout, very similar. Management would be key employees. And these are good buyers in that the transition should be excellent. They know your employees. They know your customers. They may not have the money, though. So you have the challenge there. You may not get top dollar. And you may also need to be the bank. You may need to do seller carry when you do this. And of course, the kids. And I'm hearing it from my sellers that their kids aren't as excited to buy their business. I'm hearing it from other brokers too. Maybe they've worked with mom and dad as teenagers and they've noticed how hard they have to work and how much work it is. But I do know, and Tim Murphy's in the audience here, there are examples of great generation to generation passed down. I think Tim has got, with Grandview, he's got a couple of kids involved, and he's got a really good employee involved. So congratulations, Tim. That's great. So when you sell your business, you need to vet buyers. I'll just give you a few things to think about when you're looking at buyers. Financing. Make sure the buyer has financing in place. And if you're looking to buy, SBA loans are great. The term can go 10 years. You can keep your payments down. You only need 10% down, usually with an SBA loan. So $1 million business is $100,000. So it's really a good way to go. And you just want to vet them out. Personal financial statement, you want to make sure you have that PFS. If they've had previous ownership, that is key. They understand the risk. And if they haven't had previous ownership, if they've been around it, maybe their parents have owned a business, or maybe they've been the right-hand person in a business and they understand small business. How long you've been looking? It takes a while to sell a business. It takes a while to find a business. So if you've been looking a month or two, chances are you haven't been looking long enough. And have you made any offers? We always like buyers that have had a couple deals turned down. They're that much more motivated. So I told you about that 25% of businesses that actually sell. And I'm going to give you some tips on what you need to do to make sure your business is sellable, that it's in that 25%, okay? First is, make sure you tell your spouse. Honest to God, I had this happen. Ready to sign a client, he had the pen to the paper, and he goes, I probably should talk to my wife about this. And I go, yeah, you probably should. He went home, told his wife, and she said, absolutely not. You're not selling the business. How dependent is the business on the owner? And you need to be able to go on vacation for a month and come back and your business is doing just great or even better. It's so important that you build a management team if you want to sell your business, because remember, buyers aren't buying you, the seller, they're buying your business. And a lot of times business owners have trouble getting that thought through. Customer and vendor concentration, I talked about it with the ad agency. That's so important. You don't want 90%. You want more like 10 to 15% is really where you need to be. And how dependent is the business on a key employee? And I can tell you, key employees can really screw up a deal. And I had a healthcare business about 6 years ago. The owner was in another state. She had a key employee here in the Twin Cities. And we went to market. We found a great buyer. He knew about the key employee. He insisted on meeting with that key employee. And I usually like to push that off closer to closing. But he insisted. So they met. It was a great meeting. My seller and I thought, great, this is going to go through. Well, then the key employee went to my seller and said, my $70,000 salary now needs to be $105,000. Well, my seller said, well, I'm selling the business. I don't need to deal with that. I go, yeah, you really need to. So I went to the buyer and told the buyer, and the buyer said, and this was a $3 million deal. The buyer said, I based my price on that $70,000 salary. So I went to the seller. I said, easy fix. Let's just do a $35,000 stay bonus. Write it up. She stays for a year. You pay it to her. My seller wouldn't do it. Key employee left. Buyer left. This is the one that took 2 years to sell. We finally got the buyer back, but the business, because she had to find a new key employee, really had been depleted. So she didn't get $3 million at closing. She got $1 million at closing, and the rest was in earnout, and that dreaded earnout has only gained her, I think now, about $300,000. So altogether, she's at about 1.3 when she could have had $3 million. It was an all-cash offer at closing. So the message, take care of your key employees. They're so important in a sale. I can't tell you enough. And recurring revenue, that is so important, recurring revenue. If you have a model that you can get recurring money coming in all the time from your customers, then instead of the multiple of earnings, you can do multiple of revenue. How are we doing on time, Joe? We good? Okay. I'm almost done here. So we're going to run through who your team is. You want to select them 3 to 5 years in advance. You want to have a business coach. Businesses that have been coached, I know, to sell better, faster, and for more. CPA, numbers are so important. Have a good CPA. Financial planner. I don't see many of my customers with financial planners, and they should have them. Think about it. You've got a big windfall coming in, and you need to structure your deal so that you're looking at your taxes, and financial planners can help you with that. Myself, a broker, and you need an attorney. And I emphasize it needs to be an attorney, an M&A attorney that understands transactions. So, most important value when selling and buying a business, and just remember there's so many ups and downs, both buyer and seller need to have this. And what do you think it is? Important value, anybody? Honesty, very close. Trust. I'm going to leave you with a quote.
I meant trust.
Yeah, you meant trust, right? If people like you, they'll listen to you, but if they trust you, they'll do business with you. Zig Ziglar. Thank you. Time for questions?
So Sam, you just said that many of your sellers don't have financial planners that they've spoken to?
Yeah, is this a setup? Yeah, Joe's asking. Many of many of my sellers don't have financial planners. Because I know we have a lot of financial planners in the room. Oh, here we go. She's right here. Okay, am I done, or do we?
But then amazes me.
They should. They really should.
We have time for lots of questions.
Yeah, okay, well, I'll take a question if anybody's got a question. Susan in the back?
What are your thoughts on a stock sale versus an asset purchase?
The question is, what are my thoughts on a stock sale versus an asset sale? I always tell my sellers, do a stock sale. Chances are your tax hit's going to be better. Very hard to get buyers to do a stock sale. They want to redepreciate the assets, so they want to do an asset sale. They don't want to take on the seller's liability with a stock sale, but sometimes you have to do a stock sale just because maybe there's contracts in place that you just need to do it. Good question. Question over here?
You said that the reoccurring revenue, you'll get more for your business. Like how much more?
Well, you take it really depends on the industry, and so the question is reoccurring revenue. You get more for your business. I can tell you right now, it really varies, and it depends on the buyer interest. But it's based on your revenue, so it could be anywhere from 1 to 2 times revenue, which usually, if you do the numbers and you're working with EBITDA, your earnings. If you're doing 4 times EBITDA or 5 times EBITDA, it's going to be much less that way. So, good question. Gordy, I think your hand went up first.
You know, when I sold my business, speaking of key employees, I got canned and I had to sign a non-compete agreement.
So when Gordy sold his business, he got canned and had to sign a non-compete. Figures, Gordy. Well, so you're talking about the transition, right? Yeah, and they usually don't want the sellers around, quite honestly, because they muddy it up. So, we good? Yeah. Okay.
Thanks. All right. Sam, stay up here. Thank you very much. Sam, that was awesome. Our club has a lot of small business owners, so my guess is you have a lot of good takeaways from Sam today, and then, of course, a wonderful resource right within our club. So thank you, Sam. Sam, you know this well. Rotary is a global network of 1.3 million neighbors, friends, leaders, and problem solvers who see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities, and in ourselves. From literacy and peace to water and health, Rotarians are always working to do better in our world, and we stay committed to the end. In honor of your presentation, we will make a donation to Northside Boxing Club, which is a local nonprofit offering positive connections with youth every evening at a gym in downtown Minneapolis. They provide boxing classes, tutoring help, and a nutritious meal from a local restaurant. And they also like to have visitors. So I plan to go down there to check it out pretty soon, and I'll invite some of you along as well. So thank you, Sam. Really appreciate it.
Oh, Sam, great talk, great talk. I'd like to thank Katie for coming. She's a past Chris Ann Manolis Award winner, if you knew that. Danny, sorry I had to cut your classification, but we look forward to hearing it in the future. John Butoff has informed me he has a whiteboard out back for, just out in the hallway, for community sign up, community outreach sign up. Please get used to seeing it out there. He's going to have it on a weekly basis. One of the things as new members, on every new member application, it says they want to get more involved in the community. Well, this is your chance. Yeah. Yep, that's right. Darn right, Paul. There it is. So August 10th, we have Women in Rotary in Excelsior with special guest First Lady Chris Hayes. Very exciting. Katie's looking at me going, what do you do? August 11th, we have speaker Donna Nelson and Chief Tom Milburn. August 12th, summer concert series at St. Pat's with the St. Paul Peterson. August 14th, the Torchlight concert at Centennial Lakes. September 10th, the 4th annual Josh Sprague Car Show. We want to see you sign up for that. Get the blue shirts out there. October 1, we have Edina. We have the Foundation Gala. And then November 3rd through the 5th, Camp Enterprise, True Friends, Camp Courage. Thank you all and all our special guests and visiting Rotarians. Go forth with a smile on your face, love in your hearts, and you people of action. Continue to do good work in the community and the world. Meeting adjourned.